Welcome to Made by Night. In this video we're going to be doing book boxes. A book box is a fairly simple object. It's just a box made out of a book. Sometimes they're called book safes, and they're just a way of hiding objects. You know, whether it be whatever money or your keys and your wallet and stuff. With this one I've actually done a sort of digital go bag or a digital grab bag or like a kind of digital data safe. Book boxes have been around for a really long time. They're quite a traditional way of just taking a book that's had badly damaged pages, but where the binding is still in sort of quite good order, and reusing them. These are three different kind of methods of making them. With this one, it's fairly obvious what I've done. I've just removed the entirety of the internals, built a box that's that size, covered it in whatever, and then put a map inside it and fixed up these kind of areas. With this one similarly, but obviously the main difference here is that I've left the pages around it, so I've cut into it and then put the map inside. And with this one I've actually just chosen objects that I wanted to do and then cut around them. With this one I had a purpose in mind. So the idea with this is it's like a digital go bag or something. So if the house was on fire, there was a big storm, or for some reason I needed to get out of the place, but I wanted to keep my data, I would use these as backup drives. So you've got a standard SSD, which I would put stuff like family photos and my folio and any data I wanted to keep on. That's a two-factor authentication key, so it's like a YubiKey, and it's just a way of reinforcing your passwords. And this one I would put my password manager on so that I could still have access to my bank accounts and everything else, if I had to leave for whatever reason. And I liked this this book partly because it's called The Hidden River, and partly because it's yellow, so I would probably remember which one it was. Books like this are not that hard to pick up. Obviously the world is sort of awash with sort of older books right now, and a lot of them do end up just getting pulped. These were all in the $5 trolley outside my local second-hand bookshop, and I did ask the owner and sort of said, look, are these going to be of any historical value? And they sort of said no. These are all really common works. And I did say I wanted to make some book boxes, and they didn't seem to have a problem with that at all. So I think maybe just asking is a good idea. I think it's kind of an ugly thing to do this with a book that somebody might want to read or whatever. But these were like one step away from being pulped anyway. So this is kind of a way of saving them. We're going to build this one, and I chose this one because these two were actually slightly harder to do. They were kind of annoying, and I didn't have wonderful results. I mean, you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but the page is kind of wavy, and I think that's just because of the way I've glued it in. This one was actually way easier. I think I got it done in under a couple of hours. And it's just a matter of cutting around it, and then underneath I've glued an artwork in the back, and you could do anything here. I've used this kind of circuit artwork that I did a while ago, but you could use anything. You could use a Renaissance painting, or I think a Hokusai or a Hiroshige print or something would look really good in it. And they've just been glued in really simply. They've just been glued into a page. I like to cut them to the depth they need to be to hold the item, so you've got multiple levels. So that's the second one, and then this one's a bit deeper. But yeah, this is the build we're doing today. A lot of it's very straightforward. I mean, I don't think I've actually done a build where I needed less tools before. These are the entirety of the set of objects I used. So a bulldog clip is quite useful for kind of holding the pages. A ruler, a scalpel is probably necessary because it allows you to get into the corner of things. an eraser just to get rid of the marks, and a piece of sandpaper to just clean it up at the end, and the only other thing I used was a glue stick. I didn't use PVA because I actually thought this would be a bit better to stop the pages rippling. So let's get on with the build. So here I'm just lining everything up and getting an idea of how it's going to be positioned in the final cut. It's a good idea to spend a little bit of time marking things out and positioning them correctly, because it's, you know, once you start to cut it, you are committed to that. Here I've got my scalpel out, and I'm beginning to start the main series of cuts. On most of your straight lines, you might as well start with a ruler, because at least that way you'll know that the initial set of cuts, which are the most important ones, are correct. It's much harder, you know, to get the round cuts accurate, but at least you can etch in nice and deeply with your initial set of straight cuts. And you know, you've just got to sort of go for it. Once you're comfortable with the positioning, and you've got your lines marked out, be careful with your absolute initial cuts. And then after that, it just becomes a matter of etching your way down through the layers and folding them back as you go. Okay, so here you can just see I'm cutting in and I'm folding the pages back, and I'm cutting deeper and deeper into the book. There's a strange effect that happens. I mean, I suppose it's not that strange, but when you're cutting down, the deeper you cut, the geometry of the book seems to shift, so that when you think you're cutting vertically into it, you're actually cutting at an angle towards the spine. And it happens on both sides of the cuts parallel to the spine. And basically what that means is it means it's harder to fit objects, and you have to spend more time cutting in on the right hand side after you make your initial set of cuts, and you'll see this happening as I go along. I don't actually know how to fix this. I think it's because the spine sort of shifts outwards, because that's how you're putting pressure on it. What seems to help is not using the bulldog clip so much, because that seems to be part of the thing that's forcing that geometric shift. Basically what you can do is, on the right hand side of the book, you can make a second set of cuts, but on the left hand side, on the inside next to the spine, you're going closer and closer to the spine, and you can't correct for that. There's one thing that you can do, which is actually just to make the size of the hole you're making larger than the object you're fitting into it deliberately. But beyond that, I think you just have to open and shut it, place the objects inside, and see how you're doing as you go downwards. And that's the best way I have to deal with it. So you can see here I'm just starting to do the initial fit of the artwork in order to sort of see what that's going to look like, and I'm relatively happy with that. There aren't very many other tips I can give you other than you've just got to get on with it, put on some music, put on a podcast, whatever, and just keep at it. It can be quite taxing after a little while, making repetitive cuts. Make sure your knife is nice and sharp. Replace the blade if you feel you need to. I found that I just got through one with a single blade, no sharpening, quite easily. But it does make a big difference. Keep placing the objects inside and making sure you're sort of on track. And keep on placing your artwork inside, and you'll get an impression of where you're going eventually. The other thing is just, you know, take the time to cut out the corners and make sure your cuts are nice and clean. So I'm going to stop boring you with cutting. You've just got to get through it. It's not that taxing. It was maybe an hour and a bit of cutting. These clips are at 10 times speed, and that can give you a false impression of how long it actually takes. But it wasn't too bad. Now I'm just going to cut up the artwork and fit it, and just give yourself leeway. Make sure you don't cut too tightly, because it's better to get it close and then just cut that extra little bit out of your artwork so you don't destroy the print and have to reprint it. Fit it in and then glue it down. And there's not a lot to be said about this. I decided to use glue stick because I had that annoying rippling effect in previous builds. So I just used a standard like a glue stick you would use, you know, in school or whatever, because you don't want to destroy it at this point. And that wavy thing that PVA does sometimes is quite annoying. So basically I just stuck it down and then used a ruler or something to make sure it was nice and smooth and get into the corners. And I'm gluing each one at a different level because, again, I want each object to sit parallel at its top face. So you've got to glue it onto different pages. The other good thing about the artwork is that when you're cutting, you almost always cut too deeply. And what the artwork does is actually just stabilize all the lower layers. And here we go. And now what I'm basically doing is I've realized that if I take a piece of sandpaper and like sand the interior edges where you've cut it, it actually makes the entire thing smoother. It's a little bit of effort, it's not too hard, and actually even quite a fine sandpaper does quite a lot to paper. So I'm basically, the last of this is just me cleaning it up with sandpaper and a knife. So the last little bit is just cleaning up. I'm cleaning the marks I used to cut it, and I'm also going over the foxed areas with the sandpaper. Foxing is just the brown marks caused by discoloration, the brown discoloration caused by humidity. And you can just sand that off and clean it up, and it just makes the whole thing look more attractive. Okay, so I'm just going to try and do a quick kind of review of the work and see what I did well and what I did badly, and try to think about things that might allow me to do it better in the future. I think this build went quite well. I was quite pleased with it. I think it was just partly because I knew what I wanted to do with it beforehand. The main problems I had during this were this usual error that I think I've talked about earlier, which is that the cutting it in, the walls almost never sit straight. So you end up with something that's skewed, that comes in at an angle. And I don't actually know how to correct that, and I'm not sure I care that much, because once the thing is in, it looks fairly good. The quality of this paper seemed a bit average when I was cutting it, which is why I had so many problems with it kind of ripping and tearing, like you can kind of see here. But again, I'm not that worried about it because it doesn't actually affect the kind of end quality of the thing. Sanding it out helped a little bit. The artwork I used, I'm fairly happy with. I mean, look, you only see it for 2 seconds when you pull the item out. You know, it's my own artwork, so I'm quite happy with it. because it's sort of a thing made by me and it's my artwork and all the rest of it. And if you want that particular artwork, I'll put it on the website so you can grab it, and the link will be in the description. Would it have been nicer with a sort of more traditional artwork? Yeah, I think so. I mean, if I had done I don't know, a Vermeer or a Hokusai or a Hiroshige or something, it might have made it more interesting. But you know, it's a digital thing. It's a digital artwork. It's sort of. So I think it sort of fits, and it's my own. So you know, and it doesn't matter that much. Beyond that, I'm fairly pleased with it. You don't actually see the inside. The point of this is not to see the inside in a lot of ways. It's just a storage compartment. But it is supposed to be a cool little thing that's fun to play with and have. And I like it. I like it better than the other two I did. So I'm pleased with that generally. So I think that's enough self-assessment. What else? Like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah. And thank you for watching. Keep watching my channel. Thanks, guys. Bye.